Union and putting a spotlight on African unity and innovation. Before we went on the break, I mentioned we have a young entrepreneur here who is very innovative, makes some very interesting furniture. We also have Emmanuel K. Bensa, Deputy Executive Director of the AFCFTA Policy Network, and he's on Zoom. Let me just go to Zoom and welcome him. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining. Good evening, Mr. Bensa.
Yeah, good evening. No,
Great.
how are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, too, for the opportunity.
Right. My producer was just saying we're not getting... Okay, great. The video is working perfectly now. So let me quickly welcome Nana Hema, who's in studio with us with her big afro. So for you, Mr. Bensa, what's the whole significance of African Union Day? Please tell us what it's about. For most of our viewers, they have no idea what AU Day is. Earlier today, the news team was outside and they tried interacting with a few people. Very few people understood what the AU Day is all about. Can you put a bit more information around this for us?
Definitely, I'll be happy to do that. Thank you for the opportunity. And let me just also say that you don't have to be an old man to appreciate what the AU is about. I'm in my early 40s. So much of the AU I have read in books and also gotten some from my parents and so on, and my family members who have given me some information about that as well. But the most important thing about the AU is that AU Day today is an important day for reflection and introspection on how far the African Union has come. And I think I want to be a little biased and say that the African Union has come far. I know, and I've been there.
Mr. Bensa, I don't mean to cut you there, but when you say the African Union has come far, what shows how far it's come? What can we point to explain that point that the African Union has come far?
Things like peace and security, things like school feeding. I was telling you other colleagues here earlier today that school feeding itself is an African Union concept, but it is not carried as African Union. School feeding came from the idea that the AU said that all AU member states needed to dedicate 10% of their budgets to agriculture, okay? And therefore, under the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program, CADEP, all AU member states were supposed to ensure that food, all AU member states would have access to food to be able to help develop their respective countries. School feeding, as we know in Ghana, came out of that concept. You can Google this, you can get this out of Ministry of Agriculture. It is not couched as an AU project, so people don't know. These are some of the things that days like this are good for, to help us remind us that the AU has entered our lives in small and different ways. On peace and security, for example, the continent is a lot less peaceful, it's a lot less conflict-ridden, more democratic now, largely because of the AU. You have more countries that are enjoying democracy now than they were 20 years ago, where there's a lot of conflict, largely because the AU has the Peace and Security Council, which is a permanent mechanism that monitors conflicts on a very frequent basis to ensure that conflicts are nipped in the bud. And we also have the AU's relationship with the RECs, the regional economic communities, such as ECOWAS, East Africa Community, COMESA, SADC, and all the regional blocs. That has also enabled some important developments in the way that the AU has been able to do its work. Yes, a lot of people relate to the regional blocs. So in West Africa, we are probably more conversant with ECOWAS because ECOWAS is in our neighborhood, in Abuja and across the sub-region. So we probably relate to it a lot more. But that is not to say that ECOWAS does not take decisions and instructions and recommendations from the African Union. On peace and security, there are many decisions that the ECOWAS has taken decisions and consultation from the AU. The AU holds a number of meetings across the continent, a lot in Accra as well, which you may not know of, that help all build the pieces around how democratic, how we should prosecute our good governance. Some of the other things that the AU works on is the good governance. A lot of us have issues with corruption and good governance and all these things. I happen to also work with the African Union's Communications Unit on the Africa Peer Review Mechanism, which is based in South Africa. What we are tasked to do, the 6 of us, is to help promote the activities of the Africa Peer Review Mechanism, which is something Ghana actually pioneered. Ghana was one of the first countries to sign up to the Africa Peer Review Mechanism in 2003 when it came about. The idea of the Africa Peer Review Mechanism was to ensure that member states were acceding voluntarily to a system that would allow scrutiny of certain parameters within the member states. So for the African mechanism, it has advanced to the stage where ordinary individuals like you and I are able to consult the APRM Secretariat by email with requests that we would like them to come and take a look at. For example, the flooding that took place in Accra a few days ago, which has been going on since the 1870s. The Africa Peer Review Mechanism offers the opportunity for us as ordinary citizens to say that there are issues around our governance that we are dissatisfied with, and we would like them to come, send a team to come and take a look at what they can do and then make recommendations. These are some of the things that are happening with the African Union that a lot of people do not know about. So the African Peer Review Mechanism has a secretariat in Accra. So yes, decisions and consultations can be made with the Accra Secretariat, but it is possible to just simply with an email and some more information, write an email to the Secretariat in South Africa and say that, look, we have a problem with flooding, we have a problem with water, we have a problem with this sector. We would like your team to come and take a look, do an assessment of what they think is going on, and then open it up for the local assembly to take a look, then send their recommendations to the AU for them to take a look. So what I'm trying to say is that the AU has progressed, but the AU also does a very poor job in communicating the work that it does. So you will see that on peace and security, Al-Shabaab may be killed, 10 soldiers, 10 terrorists may be killed in Al-Shabaab in Kenya and the AMISOM, where Kenya is leading with its Kenya Defense Forces. But you will not hear about it because the communication is poor. It may not be communicating to the right channels, connecting with the right media. And so media is critical to the development of where Africa Union needs to be. We are also familiar with the EU, the immense publicity campaigns that it launches. We've seen a lot of it at Roundhouse, around the Togolese embassy, the cantonments. The EU is very good at visibility and publicity. It understands the value of communication, and so it invests in communication and visibility. It's the same thing that it does at the European Parliament in Brussels and other EU institutions. We, on the other hand, for our institutions, our regional ones and our continental ones, need to work a lot more on visibility, a lot more in investing in communication, because no one will know what is happening at the African Union until the communicators tell the world what is happening. So I think there's a lot that is happening at the peace and security level, agricultural level. This year, for example, is a year of food security, nutrition, where the AU is going to have its next summit. Currently, it's ending one in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, looking at the humanitarian summit. The aim is to launch a humanitarian agency that will allow people who have been stranded on the continent to be able to use this humanitarian agency to solicit support to help them get them back to their respective countries and to help offer humanitarian support. These are important developments that are happening on the continent that people are clueless about, and sometimes I don't blame them. Some of us have the passion to want to know these things and have set up systems and mechanisms
Mr. Banzer,
to
you
understand and
see,
appreciate and get this information.
It looks like, I mean, you mentioned
Yes,
that they're not able to communicate properly, which I think this is a problem here, because it seems like if you're not looking for the information, it's very difficult to find it. I don't think young people are properly plugged into all of these things that you're saying, especially where the AU is concerned. Hannah, for example, do you feel connected to the AU in any way? Have you heard of any of their policies? You know, there's no sensitivity among the youth today where the AU is concerned. How can that gap be bridged?
Well, I think there needs to be more, a lot more work by media houses like yourself to focus their attention on developments around the African Union. There's a lot going on. After Secretariat is here now, and so the AU, Accra in effect has become another diplomatic capital. So how prepared are the youth in appreciating this important fact that the AU is now another diplomatic capital, and therefore there are opportunities. Opportunities translate to jobs. It translates to doors that open up that will allow them to get opportunities to get a job as consultants, as staff, and all these things. What is the media doing to shed light on some of these developments? Because you can talk to the experts as much as you want, but if you do not cover the stories as well, or people like ourselves are not able to bring the stories to you, no one will know what is happening. What is happening with Europe, on the other hand, is that Europe invests in communication. It hires young people. It hires communicators, big departments on communication around the European Commission, and pays them well so that they, in turn, do the needful to communicate to the outside world how the European Union works. However, it does not mean that they don't have challenges. One of the reasons why Brexit happened, for example, was that a lot of people did not know that the European Union was responsible for bringing paternity leave and all these little benefits that the EU enjoys. A lot of people didn't know. They felt that it was the government, which tells you that there was a communication deficit somewhere as well. They didn't get to understand some of the benefits that came with being a citizen of the EU, reason for which Brexit happened. And the British are now left out in the cold. So what that signals to me is that communication is a very important conversation that needs to happen with the media, with institutions like with ECOWAS and AU. But let me just say that the youth that do know about the African Union are enjoying. There's an AU Youth Volunteer Program that has been happening for the past 10 years. And I know that there's some youth in Ghana that have been going. It's a matter of applying. Hundreds of people apply. When you get selected, you are paid like $800 a month to work in Addis or any of the other AU institutions. And for a year or so, once your contract expires, you either retained as staff or they renew the contract. So I've met some Ghanaians who have been part of the AU Youth Volunteer Scheme. And I sometimes wonder why they are not spreading the word on these things for other youth to enjoy. But alas, you know how the black man is.
Right.
Once they find an important source, they want to keep it for themselves.
Right.
So yeah, it is for
so
people
we have
like
to elevate the
know
conversation.
that no, yes.
Right. Listen, let me look at terrorism. You mentioned, you made reference to Al-Shabaab and all that. Recently also there was a report that cited Ghana as, high threat where terrorism is concerned, and the threat keeps increasing. especially executed through the youth. Somewhere, I think, was it 2005? We knew a Ghanaian did go to join terrorists who is presently dead. You know, he passed off now, but he did recruit some of his friends also. These activities are spread better among the youth. It's usually the youth they reach out to and try to recruit. So how can the youth be more involved in reducing that threat of violent extremism in Ghana, in Africa, in the sub-region?
That's a very important question. Thank you for that. It's interesting. I had someone at the office today from an organization called Conciliation Resources. The mission of Conciliation Resources is to help do on-the-ground conversations and community work in conflict-ridden areas. And she was telling me about West Africa is in a lot more trouble than we see. The reason being that Nigeria has not been able to deal sufficiently with Al-Shabaab. And Al-Shabaab has not been tackled at the regional level adequately. Because Nigeria has wanted to claim Al-Shabaab for itself, it is not killing all the terrorists as we need to hear that it is doing. It knows where the terrorists are hiding. There are some particular forests, Zambezi forest. They know that the terrorists are there. They get access to an inside and out. So the question is, why are the terrorists not being eliminated when you know where their hideout is? So Al-Shabaab has been allowed to fester, causing further insecurity on the continent. Couple that with what is happening with the Sahel, the coups and so on, and couple that with violent extremism. They say that the devil has worked for idle hands. Here's the case that there's a lot of high unemployment in the country. In Ghana, it's quite high. Across the sub-region, I wouldn't know the average, but it's quite high across the sub-region already. So when you have a youth population that is high, and then you add that to youth unemployment, then you add that to violent extremism, what you're going to get is a violent cocktail of opportunity for insecurity to fester, because the youth do not have jobs. So when they are promised money, words of dollars, go and we'll give you a boat, we'll give you some money regularly. You are not married, we'll give you a woman so that you can have a wife. We'll give you a car, a motorbike, so that you'll be comfortable, and we'll be in touch with you. Then 3 months later, they're in touch with you and they say, deliver this package to this embassy. You'll go and do it as a youth because you've been getting something from these extremists. And then before you know it, you are delivering a package that will blow up someone's house. Before you know it, you have become a terrorist. This is one of the reasons why we need to nip these things in the bud. We need to educate our youth around security, terrorist dynamics that are happening. What is happening in Al-Shabaab, and the reason for which it has happened for so long, Al-Shabaab, the AMISOM, African Union Mission in Somalia, has been running since 2007. It's an AU enforcement force, which is to say it has the capacity to kill terrorists. It is not just peacekeeping. In the same way that ECOMOG in Liberia in 1997 was peace enforcement, which is a euphemistic way of saying that it had the capacity to kill the terrorists and those who are causing insecurity. Unfortunately, if you're not a soldier, you find killing someone very difficult. But these terrorists can either be captured or they'll be killed. Our intelligence needs to be beefed up. I am confident that in Ghana, our intelligence systems are strong enough, largely because we're also cooperating with Interpol and the larger security agencies on the continent. There are things like the West Africa Police Information Systems that Interpol and the EU have put together for West Africa, documenting a lot of people who go through the borders, so that we begin to build a database of citizens who are law-abiding, but also those who are wanted by Interpol. So there are these systems that are there. There's a West Africa Police Chiefs Cooperation Organization, which is at the Secretariat of ECOWAS Commission, which supervises with the chief of police of each ECOWAS member state how, and they get updates from the chief of defense staff of each of the ECOWAS member states' chief of defense staff regularly. They meet every quarter on developments in the sub-region. So the intelligence monitoring is there. The intelligence framework is there. For people like us who are not in the intelligence community, we will not know. But I've done enough research and I've worked in peace and security before to know that these things are happening and the developments around them. So I'm confident that these things will be nipped in the bud. However, we do need to have political will by countries like Nigeria to commit to eliminating the terrorist threat of Boko Haram. We also need to have things like the Lake Chad Basin Commission countries, Chad, Benin, Niger, Nigeria, who belong to this so-called Lake Chad community, which is an environmental organization around since 1964. But now they're fighting terrorists because Boko Haram uses Lake Chad for their criminal activities. And Lake Chad is drying up because there's so many terrorists that have been hiding and using that part of the Lake Chad for terrorist activities. It's causing an environmental disaster in that part of the sub-region. So we need a concerted approach, continental, United Nations, regional, ECOWAS, continental also AU, and then also with the UN institutions like the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, in a way that is concerted and sustained, not in fragmented ways. ECOWAS has a Sahel strategy. The AU has a Sahel strategy. The EU has a Sahel strategy. What is the EU doing having a Sahel strategy when the EU is not in the Sahel? So what do we need to do to make sure that our systems as the African Union, ECOWAS, and the other regional institutions where the conflicts are festering, we have come together to say that this is enough, this must stop. We must save our youth from violent extremism. We must put frameworks into place where they understand that if they don't get jobs, they are going to fall prey to violent extremists. And we must be shocking enough to let them know that this is the reality. This is going to happen if we don't do our bit and create an economy that is conducive, an economy that allows everyone to have access to food, to water, to utilities in a way that will not cause conflicts as we have been seeing.
So, Mr. Benson, most of these threats are taking advantage of a situation where poverty seems to be very endemic in the sub-region and in Ghana also. But how these countries cannot absorb the unemployment figures that they're facing. And lately we see that there's a huge drive towards entrepreneurship. A lot of people pushing, even government policies pushing for, more youth to venture into entrepreneurship. Is entrepreneurship a way to solve the unemployment issues in sub-Saharan Africa?
Thank you for that question. It is definitely a way. It is a way of many solutions. What we must also have is governments committing to making sure that they pay attention to youth-led policies. Namibia, and this was one of the things that the Africa Peer Review Mechanism came up with as one of their recommendations, that Namibia should create things like an investment bank for youth. Right. Namibia now has a youth investment bank. Namibia has elected one of the youngest parliamentarians. I think she's around 24, 25. She's been traveling around the continent for the past couple of months now. So countries, Uganda also has a youth parliament, a parliament dedicated for youth to discuss issues relative to Uganda. So the question is, what is Ghana doing for the youth beyond entrepreneurship, where we don't even see funds or money offered for youth to enjoy some level of entrepreneurship? What is Ghana doing? What is West Africa doing to ensure that it has built some level of capacity for the youth to appreciate, to become entrepreneurs. Because being an entrepreneur is not an easy thing. There are many weeks and months slaving away quietly, depending on your parents because you don't have enough money, and so on, and that kind of thing. So the question we should begin to ask ourselves is, we have a youth bulge, okay? So 60% of the population of the African continent is youth now. What have we done for this superpower? And the youth is a superpower. Let's not kid ourselves. This superpower can make or break this continent in the next 10 years if we are not careful. What we want to see is a continent that will be sustainable, okay? So what we then need to do is to make sure that our youth are vocal enough to articulate what they do not like about the country and all these things, a vibrant civil society, but also do it across in a sustainable, honest way that will make it clear for the African Union to also then begin to wake up a little bit more on creating policies that will be relevant for the youth. To be honest, the African Union has done these youth volunteer schemes and things like that to help build the capacity of the youth, but we need to see it at the regional level. ECOWAS also has a youth volunteer scheme where it actually pays more. It pays like $1,000 a month for 1 year to live in Sierra Leone or Liberia, and so on. Just some of these specific selected countries. But what beyond the ECOWAS volunteer scheme can ECOWAS do to ensure that the youth are taken away, their attention is directed away from violent extremism towards things like entrepreneurship and so on? Now, the African Continental Free Trade Area is here. So this is the time that the youth should be clamoring for youth funds for themselves, to be able to take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Right. Mr. Benson, let me come in studio because I like that you mentioned the youth are a superpower. We have one of such superpowers in the studio who is Hannah Hema. Hannah Hema is an entrepreneur who is out there making a change, representing Africa in a good light, pushing with solution-driven entrepreneurship. She makes furniture using Kaya tires. I need you to explain this to me.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And we'll just roll a few of her products on the screen so you can see it and understand. So she makes all of these furniture using Kaya tires. Very, very interesting. They look very beautiful, you know, very affordable furniture. We all know everyone needs furniture. Sometimes it's so expensive that you can't afford it. But instead of throwing these tires away, she gathers them and uses them for something that is beneficial to people. Nana Hema, Hannah, how, where did this even come from? Where did the whole concept come out of?
Thank you. To begin with, these are my own ideas. I didn't learn them from anywhere, and no one taught me. It just came to my mind to use.
So you saw a cat tire, and in your mind thought, I can use this to make furniture. Were you already making furniture?
No, please.
Oh, wow.
Before that, I was working in a financial institution, first as a mobile banker. Then I was promoted to customer service. So during my service at the office, I got this idea to use the waste car ties. It was somewhere in February, and I said
February
I wanted...
of which year?
2018.
Okay.
I said I wanted to do Valentine table.
Hey.
Yeah. And
you were in love.
I wasn't in love.
Valentine table.
Yeah, but it just came to do use that old car tie to make Valentine table. I don't know where the idea came from. And so I went to buy a red and white cloth. I went to pick an old car tie, dirty one as such, then sent it home and made a table out of it. Just like that, yes.
Wow. So take me through the process. You take the tie. What's the process before it finally becomes furniture? Like you said, it was a dirty car tie. So when you get, do you wash it? Do you need extra material to include in the process? How do you do it?
Yeah. When I'm starting with it, I wash the tie. When it definitely it becomes dirty, so I wash it. Then I measure the width and length of the tire with my tape measure. I use cloth, especially African points or Ghanaian kente. I prefer using that much because it makes it stand out. It comes out very beautiful. So I measure the width and length of the tire, cut my foam and wrap around the tire. Then I wrap the cloth around the foam on the tire. Yes.
Interesting. And who bought your first product?
A lady in Tema.
Okay.
Yes.
So did you start marketing when you were making it? How did you find that customer?
So when I finished with the red and white table, I posted it on my Facebook page. That was in 2018.
Okay.
And people saw it and they commented, "Oh, it's very beautiful, well done." That same day, I had the order from the Tema lady.
I see.
Yes, she ordered for 2. So that's where my business started.
When you made it, that Valentine table you made, was it in your mind to make it to sell? Or you were just doing something exciting?
I was just doing it. It wasn't in my mind to sell it or to do it as my permanent business or something. I was just doing it just for fun.
And after she bought it, how long before you turned this into a business?
I turned this into a permanent business in 2020 because I lost my banking job due to COVID.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So I was staying at home doing nothing and decided to, because I was doing it as side business, I get orders and do it during the weekends. Then on Monday I go to work. So I sat down and thought about it and decided to start doing it as my permanent business because some people, when I post on my Facebook page, people want to learn.
Are you teaching people? Do you
Yeah,
take people?
I've trained 23 people.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Are some of them working with you?
Yeah, I have 2 workers for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this difficult? Did you have to go and learn extra to know how to do it better?
I haven't learned anything from like.
So just making the furniture is just your talent?
Yes, it's my talent, and I also do normal wood furniture.
Okay.
I didn't learn from anywhere. So I can
is any of your parents a carpenter?
No.
Hey, I see. This because it's very technical to make furniture and sell. Would you say it's been lucrative so far?
So far,
do you make money from it?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
So, for example, if I want to buy a chair and I call you, can I bring you my own concept, the way I want things to look?
Yes, please.
And you make it for me?
Yes, please.
How do you celebrate Africa in your business? I see you mentioned when you use kente, it looks very beautiful. Do you use like other African products? What products do you put in there?
Yes. I use African prints, especially Ghanaian kente. Apart from that, I also use a normal cloth that
wax print.
Yes. So I combined. It depends on what the client prefers. But sometimes when, especially those outside Ghana, they prefer the kente one. Because when they make order, they ask to use the kente because that one it makes it beautiful. So apart from using the kente, I also use jute rope. That rope they used to tie the neck of sheep. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw it was on the screen.
Yeah.
So I use leather too.
Okay.
Then
so
I
you
use
mix it.
Yes. I can use a sack bag, the sack that they put onions in it. Anything.
Hey.
Yes.
Jute sack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything that I can use to do the thing to make it beautiful, I use it. So in celebrating African Union, maybe I can do a customized table or chair, furniture.
Wow.
And yes,
wow.
everybody like brand it African Union Day something with our colors.
Yeah.
That's normally what I do.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Wow. Since you started, I mean, it looks like you fully transitioned into it after you lost your job.
Yes.
You've trained 23 people. That's very, very impressive. But what challenges have you experienced?
Yeah. I heard Mr. Benson say entrepreneurship is not an easy task. same thing I'm facing. And most, when you ask any entrepreneur what's the challenge he or she is facing, it's financially. Because day in and day out, prices of things are increased. Someone will make order today, you go to the market to buy the things, and the prices have increased. You can't tell the person to add more money to it, because so
when
at
your
the
profit reduces.
yes, so at the end you may lose, sometimes to you gain. So our biggest challenge is financial and how to get funding to support our
Have you
business.
ever tried to get any loan?
No, please.
Why not?
I don't know where to go for.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't had any financial support from anywhere. So when someone orders for a product, he or she makes half payment, then I use the half payment to go buy the materials and do them. When it's done, he or she pays the rest. So that's how I run my business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds very interesting. We know government has recently started a whole entrepreneurship drive. Have you heard about it? Have you been inspired by it in any way? Have you tried to participate? Because there's the Youth Start initiative, which is supposed to start soon. Do you know about it?
Yes, I know about that. People send me links of such programs, and I also get invited to talk about my business, to attend summits and presentations and all that. So I get to connect with people in that area.
Have you ever thought about expanding outside of Ghana?
Sure.
I think I'm going to let Mr. Bensa answer this, because we hear a lot about African Continental Free Trade Area and how it's supposed to be much easier for entrepreneurs to reach the markets outside their countries. African entrepreneurs reaching beyond, Ghanaian entrepreneurs reaching beyond Ghana, for example. But how practical is it? Have people actually been able to do it? What's the whole process? How do they do it? Where do they start? Mr. Bensa, let me just come back to you. You can also comment on her business before you proceed. If you can unmute yourself, I think you've been muted.
I'm sorry, I missed your question.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, for African entrepreneurs who are trying to expand outside of their countries, I spoke to Hannah, who was telling me she has thought about expanding outside of Ghana, but she hasn't been able to do that yet. We mentioned the AFCFTA, which is supposed to help push outside your own original African country. But how practical is it? How are entrepreneurs able to tap into this? Where do they begin?
It's still work in progress. At our organization, the After Policy Network, what we're trying to do is we are a membership-based organization. So we invite people to join and become members. And then we slowly and surely, we sensitize and educate them on developments around AFTA. We have a Women of Africa network as well, which offers support for women entrepreneurs, those who have SME, small businesses, and want to tap into the AFTA markets, some of the things that they need to do to prepare themselves. One of the biggest things by way of preparation is to form associations, to become part of associations, because that is one way. When you are larger, you get more noticed. So that this kind of, let's say, strategy is what the Women of Africa Network, which is a subsidiary of After Policy Network, we're trying to do, to make sure that we give a voice for the women whom we believe are a lot more savvy and a lot more smarter in the way they communicate or connect with each other in the business that they do. So these are some of the opportunities that we offer as a network. The After Secretariat proper is opening up opportunities, but the Secretariat is charged.
Okay, I think we're having issues with Mr. Bensa's line, but let me come back in studio here to speak to Hannah Hema about her business. Hannah, since you started, would you encourage someone to get into this kind of business?
Yes, I will.
What keeps you excited about this business? You wake up, you use ties. Doesn't it get boring? You're using ties. And how do you encourage yourself in doing this business? You mentioned so many challenges, but how do you overcome these challenges? What runs through your mind when you wake up?
What encourages me to do this business, what runs into my mind, people so far, both locally and internationally, have seen what my business is about, and I've won an award in South Africa as African Most Innovative Entrepreneur in 2021, and I've won 2 in Ghana here. So it encourages me to do more, because at least people have shown interest in what I'm doing. The only thing to get is to get the support and the push to expand it. And it makes me happy to train other people to be able to get something doing on their own. Yeah.
How is government able to help you if you look at the challenges that you're experiencing and you think of government intervention? In what area do you think government can help entrepreneurs?
In funding aspect. Even with this my business, at least they can come in to support. If let's say an MP in a constituency can organize the youth, then I go there to train them. The assemblymen, and all that. My business falls under most of the ministries. I'm a female doing men's job, carpentry. It also comes under creative arts. Creative art, tourism, because the kente that I use. Did you even think that kite can be used to make furniture?
Yeah.
And I use it to make bed too.
Okay, so you make bed
out of the kite.
Wow,
it's so fantastic.
Yeah. And it looks like it's very flexible. But you mentioned also that this carpentry is an area that most people think is for men. So how do you relate with people? Do people ever come to you expecting that maybe you're a man and then it turns out you're a woman? Are they okay with it? Do they feel okay working with you?
Yes, they are okay working with me, and sometimes it motivates me when I go to their houses to the normal wood furniture. I also work on old ones to make it new, and sometimes when they call me to come to their house to work on the old furniture, they encourage me to work more. Like a young lady doing this, well done. God bless you, and a whole lot. Words of encouragement, so it motivates me to do more. Yeah,
that's interesting and a positive one there. But Mr. Benson, I see your line is stabilized. Can you hear me? Hello, Mr.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, Mr. Benson, we are running out of time, but if you can just, how do you think we can encourage African youth to be more enterprising like this and to celebrate Africa more in the products that they make?
Unfortunately, I have to leave.
Okay.
So it'll probably have to be a few.
Sure. Give it to her in 1 minute.
But please go ahead with your question. Yeah. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Benson, I'm just saying, how can we African entrepreneurs celebrate Africa more in their ventures?
Okay. How can we celebrate Africa more? It's like what this young woman is doing with her businesses. Continue doing what you can with the businesses that you have. Someone will take notice. Continue to engage organizations like ourselves, and whatever organizations are in the business of helping scale up your business. There are a lot of civil society organizations working around AFTA. Do be selective about which organization you want to work with. We are a membership-based organization. We invite people to join from all over the world, and we have a relationship with the AFTA Secretariat. We also have a Women of Africa network, as I was explaining earlier. So we will be happy to connect you to other women who are doing similar things, or other women who are doing similar businesses to help scale up. But there are other organizations, like I said, you need to do your homework. Now is the time for action. Now that ACTA is here, we mustn't waste time. We must take advantage of the fact that ACTA is here and build ourselves, including our capacity, get our businesses right. If our businesses, our emails, the visibility of it on Instagram and social media is not good,
right,
we must make sure it is excellent. The competition is keen, it is out there, and they all want to scale up their business. So get your business right. Make sure that you are continuing the Afrocentric feel, because in the next 5 years, the whole landscape is going to change. The competition will be keener. So you must ask yourself, what is it that I can do in the next 5 years that will outshine the competition? Those are some of the questions you must be asking yourselves now, so that you are ready, you are future ready to meet the competition. So it isn't about what you are doing today, it is about how you are preparing yourself this year to make sure that in the next 5 years you are where you need to be. So that's the kind of advice I would offer.
Thank you so much
to
Mr. Bensa.
This for young woman. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you too for joining us. Mr. Bensa is Deputy Executive Director of the AFCFTA Policy Network, also an ECOWAS and AU policy analyst. I like what he said, be future ready and to think consistently what to do to outshine the competition in the next 5 years, in the next few years, because the competition is moving high, and you have to be more innovative to meet with that competition. Hannah, would you like to give us some last words before we are out of here?
Yes, please. One thing I always keep saying is the handiwork is something that cannot be taken away from you. Do something on you, start something. Whatever is in you, bring it out, and definitely we get there.
Right. Thank you. That's also some serious motivation. What is your handiwork? What skill do you have that you're able to apply yourself to produce something? Everybody needs one of those. My name is Nwang Falong. This is Spotlight. We are celebrating African unity and innovation. We'll see you same time, 5 p.m. tomorrow. Do stay with us throughout the rest of our programs. Good evening.
My hair, you pay for my hair. I know fit to reset. The gossip, maybe I was born faithful until the first female suddenly broke a vow. I feel like you don't be my baby. What if I broke down my business? I'll show you go buy to. And you know, I hire a permanent fan. Yeah, free cocoa, being called, yeah, bad things go from a side. I come aside. No hands, still I can't believe. You know what I mean? I was young, what you expect from me? It is what it is. Angelina, you be cool in my temperature. If you call, say cheese, take a picture. Shaka post, make a see, take a picture. In the leg book, boa. Why the party there today? Hey mama, hey I ever say. Secure.
my soul is burning. Fire for my soul is burning. Fire in my soul is, yeah.
Well, let me tell you how I stressed the other day.